a drink with me. Hey!
Welcome to Have a Drink with Me. I'm your host, Dylan Polniak, and joining me again is my good friend. He's a writer and a comedian, Julian Stern. Welcome back to the show.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I mean, this just got to happen. I see that you're drinking beer.
No.
Are you drinking the same drink you did last season?
I am not exactly. I'm cheating a little bit because I didn't have all of the materials. I realized I am drinking a pumpkin ale, which I would argue can be a Bloody Mary, because if you think about it, a tomato and a pumpkin are not so different.
Mm-hmm.
And last time I had I forget what it was called, but the Guinness Bloody Mary, I think that's just what it was. And so I'm slowly working my way through, but I do have some Jinro soju as well that I was going to put in the beer, but it's still frozen from when I was watching Squid Game the other night and got some soju as like a themed drink. And so
you got a themed drink for Squid Game, but not for your choice, your alcohol choice for the show, which is supposed to be Bloody Marys.
Dylan, it was a choice that I made how many years ago? 6 years ago? 7 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
5 or 6, yeah.
I should have stuck, but I still, I thought about it this morning and I was like, oh yeah, I can run out and get a Bloody Mary, or I can really try to just shoehorn what I have in the fridge right now. I hope that this doesn't make it so you have to erase this episode and bar me from any future. I hope this only adds to the mythos of our partnership in my guestness on Have a Drink with Me.
Yeah.
But if you're livid,
this might be the last season that you do, yeah. Because I have already had one full Bloody Mary, and now I'm moving on to my second one, because last season and the season before, I believe we both had Bloody Marys before even starting the episode.
Yes.
So we'll knock that off as tradition. We'll knock Bloody Marys off as tradition. But welcome back, I guess.
It's so good to be back. And I do think, what's the definition of a Bloody Mary?
Vodka and tomato juice.
I guess that, but what's vodka really? It's
it's definitely not soju and pumpkin beer.
I think it could be. So I'm trying to, I've been here long enough. It's like if you go to a burger joint a bunch and eventually they're like, you've come so often that we're going to name a burger after you. I'm trying to get a Bloody Mary recipe named after me. And that recipe is pumpkin ale and soju.
I think just anytime you're on, we're just going to say we're drinking Bloody Marys. I will drink Bloody Marys, and then you just drink whatever you want because you're in charge here.
I mean, look, I'm jealous of your Bloody Mary, and it's my fault. But you're the out of the two of us, you're the one who has things put together. I know that you're a homeowner now. I'm not a homeowner. Yeah, that's obviously the homeowner is going to be the one who's able to go out in the morning, get some Bloody Mary mix, and start drinking by 2 p.m.
Yeah, 2:30. Yeah,
2:30. Yeah.
Or I'm the responsible person because my wonderful wife went and picked it up for me 5 days ago.
That is that yeah. So it's not your fault, or it's not about you at all. It's your wonderful wife. I did. I feel like I probably had the opportunity in the last 5 days. No, I'll be honest. When I ordered this pumpkin beer and this soju on Postmates, that was within the past 5 days. I should have been thinking about it. I've messed up.
And you also agreed to do this show like 2 months ago.
Oh, such a long time ago. Yeah. I've had so many opportunities
the rules
to get Bloody Mary mix. I did watch Police Story 2, though.
That's half of it. You're halfway there, bud.
What I meant to say is this is a Bloody Mary.
There you go. I figured you were going to do the one you did last year, which was like half beer, half Bloody Mary.
Yeah, exactly.
And
this is a beer.
So that's what it looked like, and you could have just said, yeah, it is.
That's exactly what it is. Oh, I forgot. Oh my goodness, I forgot. I have some Bloody Mary mix and some vodka right here. I'm just gonna glug 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 glug, tip tip tip. Ah, a real Bloody Mary.
Yeah, for all the people watching this episode, look away. Look away for that last 10 seconds. And all the people listening to the podcast, he genuinely did pour full Bloody Mary into his drink.
The soju is melting very quickly, so soon enough we're going to be able to really
Not
have
drink
this
a
Bloody
Mary
Mary
together. I think you should just rub the bottle the entire time until you can finally get it, and that'll be your punishment, and I won't ban you from the show.
Yeah, can't let that happen. Listen,
Yeah.
it's the threequel. I gotta change things up somehow. The good guy has to become the bad guy at some point, much like at the end of Police Story 2, when Kakul Chan has strapped with a bomb and he's going to take the money from the people who are being extorted by the terrorists.
Yeah, but he leaves it in the car.
He does. Now, okay.
In the thing.
Do you think that was his plan the whole time?
So I will say, I need to give a brief introduction of why we're talking about this. So season 1, we did Rush Hour 2 and Bloody Marys. Season 2, we did Shanghai Nights and Bloody Marys. And this season, we're doing Police Story 2 and Bloody Marys.
And Bloody Marys, exactly.
So Jackie Chan sequels and Bloody Marys are our theme. So Police Story 2 is our topic for this episode. So I think that when he is strapped with the bomb on him, his full intention is to prove to the bad people that he is going through with the plan. Mm-hmm. He's not the bad guy, but he's going through with the plan so that they give him time to get back to May. And then at that point, no one's following him anymore when he takes the tunnel. So at that point, that's when he can take off the vest. Left the money, though, which doesn't make any sense. And also, why didn't he just drive? And I don't know. Why didn't he just drive instead of running faster than anyone in the entire world? But it was all his plan just to get back to May and defeat the bad guys.
They did say that there was no radio transmission in the tunnel, so I think he knew that also.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's why he ran.
He could have driven.
Oh, you mean he could have left the bomb in the tunnel? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He did have the car. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was
then
frazzled.
He drove. Yeah, I don't know. He seemed pretty with it. He ripped open the entire bottom of a car, all the wiring, strapped it to a bomb, and then cut a bunch of wires, and then slowly took it off like a tease, and gently set it in the car, and then ran. And it didn't even blow up.
Do you think that the running was sped up? Because he was running so fast.
I don't know. Jackie Chan's pretty intense.
There was also a point, and I wrote this down, because I did take notes, even though I didn't bring the right drink, which I'm so sorry for. But there's a moment when he's got the metal collar around his neck, and he's got the pliers, and he's trying to pull it, or he's trying to cut it with the pliers.
Snip it,
there's just one frame where they just have his bulging bicep. It's just such a, you can't even, it looks like a butt. It's so close up, you can't tell what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But they also didn't linger on it long enough. I think we needed a little bit more of that. I want to know, had you seen this movie before?
No, I hadn't. I still haven't seen the first one.
I don't think, if I've seen the first one, it was on theme while the summer after college, my friends and I didn't have jobs, and we would just go over to my one friend Carl's house and get blackout drunk and watch 3 or 4 movies every night. So I think we probably watched Police Story 1 then, but I obviously did not retain a lot of my brain wasn't exactly creating memories at that point. And so I functionally haven't seen it, but I loved this movie, and I didn't think I need, I want to go back and watch Police Story 1 now.
So did you watch it on HBO?
Yes.
HBO Max?
Yep.
Okay.
HBO
So I
Max
watched
sponsor.
Started it. Yeah. Yeah, they give me $100 every time I mention them. HBO Max.
HBO Max.
$14.99 a month.
Was that HBO Max that you said? Gives you $100 every time?
HBO Max,
Okay.
indeed, yes. Hobo Max. So I put the movie, and it's all in Chinese, English subtitles, but I like to I hate this, like, I like to watch the English dubbed versions of his movies because I like to watch the action. And so I got maybe like 5 to 10 minutes into this episode, and then also trying to watch the action, trying to read the subtitles, but also trying to make notes for the show isn't the best. So I found a version online on YouTube, fully English dubbed, and I got 40 minutes into it until I realized it was Police Story 1.
Oh, wow.
So I shut it off and then switched back to HBO Max. And then I just like watched slower and paused it more often to take notes. So I have seen the first 40 minutes of Police Story 1.
How'd it compare? How'd it hold up?
Police Story 2's a lot better.
Nice.
It was, I think Police Story 1's a lot slower.
Interesting. There was a lot of, I know that it has the big, like the mall stunt at the end of Police Story 1 and the shantytown car chase at the beginning.
Shantytown, yeah.
Those are two of like the big Jackie Chan, the historic Jackie Chan stunts. So I know that it has those, but it does seem like it has a few set pieces. But I loved all of they did a nice highlight reel at the beginning of Police Story 2.
Yeah.
You don't really need to watch Police Story 1.
Yeah. When I started Police Story 2, they showed that, and I was like, oh, damn, that's the part that I wanted to see, the whole shantytown. And then when I put the English version on, it started with that. So I was like, oh, it must be one of those movies where they're showing you a little bit of what goes on in the movie before it starts.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that makes sense. And then realized it was Police Story 1.
Yeah.
But I really like this movie. I think this is the first time that... So Jackie Chan wrote and directed this, which is just incredible.
Wow.
But I think this is the first time that he's working for the police or whatever, and they call him out for being so intense. Like, the movie starts with him being scolded from what happened in the previous movie for being too agile in taking the chandelier instead of the stairs, which, awesome.
Right. It feels
like who wouldn't want that guy in their force?
And I really like all of the, I don't know the names of the other, like there's Uncle Bill, right?
Yep.
And then
diarrhea problem.
Yeah, who's having just a running diarrhea, a running and runny diarrhea problem the entire time. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know the name of their like commander guy, but I really enjoyed their little 2-man shtick that they were doing the whole time, where it felt like it was just very winky at all of the like cop movie tropes, which is crazy because that was in the late 80s, and they're still making movies that are dealing with all of those tropes. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So I want to talk about Uncle Bill a little bit and exactly what you're talking about. There's a part in so many movies where someone's like, oh, my stomach's upset. I must have eaten something bad. It must be something I ate. And then that's it. And I was thinking like, oh, really? They're going to do this? But then the diarrhea has to do with like most of the rest of the time that you see Uncle Bill.
They weave it into the entire movie. The heartbreaking, the breakup that they have, she's standing on the toilet that he's having diarrhea on.
Yes. It's like one of the best breakup scenes ever. And like, also he farts in the elevator, which is like, oh, funny, he farted. But then you kind of realize like he was clearing out the elevator so that Jackie Chan could get to the top floor first.
Yeah.
And it's just like genius.
Uncle Bill is like, I do have diarrhea, but I'm going to use it to our advantage. Like he saw a setback and he turned it into a tool. And I love that.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned the breakup scene on the toilet. And that the chemistry between May and Jackie, Kakui, I don't know.
I think Kakui or Kakui.
Jackie and May is just so good that when they're breaking up and they're fighting in every situation. It's like, oh, this is perfect. And she climbs the toilet and she's yelling at him, whatever. Then they're out in the rain yelling at him. And he's like trying to do everything that he can. She's like, I don't want to ever see you again. And then she crashes her moped in the back of the car. And then she's like, what are you doing? Aren't you going to help me? And it's like, that's so perfect because like you can tell that they really love each other. And they're just having like this spat where she's like, I never want to see you again. Well, aren't you going to help me? And then like, drives away.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's what impressed me about it was how every scene is basically just a Jackie Chan. It's like, how do we take this grounded breakup scene and infuse it with Jackie Chan-esque stunts? And they even did because they alluded to Police Story 1 where he tries to grab her bag and she drives away and the motorcycle goes away. Moped, and then because they were like, people think this is going to happen again. It's not going to happen again. We're gonna prove it to them. And then she just drives straight into the car.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate these kinds of movies so much because it's good guys, got everything going for him. Everything's perfect. He gets put in a situation where things are bad and he just wants to do good. And he's not killing anyone.
Right.
I mean, he does end up killing some people, but he's not trying to kill anyone. And he's just trying to do the right thing. And he's trying to like balance everything. And it was just very good of like, he kept trying to stop the bad guys to rethink their lives. And be like, oh, yes, you're going to go to prison for what you did, but wouldn't you rather like come out of prison than die? And they're just like, ha ha ha, no.
Yeah, and they're also like, we don't have those opportunities. Just a random tiny scene where they're like, this is our only way to have a normal life. And it's like, whoa, we're talking about capitalism now, like just randomly, or we're talking about income inequality, like for this like 30-second exchange at the end of this otherwise just like straightforward police movie.
Yeah. Well, he gives them the option. Like you can either go to jail and then come back and then you're alive, or you can die. And he beat the hell out of those three guys.
I think only one of them dies. I'm not positive.
Well, the whole place blows up.
And you think they're all still in it?
I think so.
And they really just...
Because you don't see them move.
How do you feel about the ending being the whole place blows up and now the movie ends? Because I feel like that's something that used to happen in movies and we've gotten away from that. Now it's like, okay, let's have a little bit of resolution with the characters afterward. I don't know how I feel about it. Do you know how you feel about it?
I mean, I know how I feel about it. And I want to share that with you.
Because you're the guy who gets the Bloody Marys and I'm not. You're confident in your opinions. I'm not. But I figured
That's exactly what I was going to say.
I actually do have Bloody Mary materials here. I figured it out. Don't worry about it. We'll get into it after the break. So stick around.
But I felt that I had to rewind it because I was like, this can't be the end because he didn't kill those people. It's just like they had like big stunt bumps, and I figured they would have gotten back up and there would have been like a bigger resolution to it. But it was just like, nope, whole building's just exploded. Everyone was inside. So I don't know. I'm happy with it because where do you go from there? I mean,
yeah,
he saved the day, saved his girl.
We can extrapolate. We can know what, and also he diffused all of the explosives that were the threat of the whole movie. That's what something I liked. I realized, like in a society where everyone doesn't have access to guns because when he had the threat on his life, Uncle Bill said, "Hey, I talked to the chief. You can carry your gun when you're off duty." And I was like, oh yeah, that's now like guns are much more like in a movie like this, guns are mysterious. And it's like, you, like people can't just, it's not like everyone has a gun, which is most action movies now. You're expecting them to have a gun. And so it just adds tension and drama and mystery to the action of it all.
Yeah. Yeah. I was interested to see how that line was going to play out where it's like, yeah, you can take your gun with you. It's like, Uncle Bill, have you not seen him throw kicks and punches?
Right.
There's no way he's going to use his gun. And then when he finally does show up with his gun, someone steals it.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of random notes about this. Like, first of all, I love that he was shelved. and put on traffic duty, because all I'm thinking is like, this movie takes place immediately after Police Story 1.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to be tired. His knees have got to ache. Like, and he's so good at traffic duty. So, like, let him have it.
Right.
That's like the one thing I was just like, I was so happy to see him. Oh, he's relaxing. Good.
But also,
take a break, have some soda.
The truck drivers that he was pulling over at the beginning, they were doing some very risky maneuvers.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's why he pulled them over. I don't understand why they were doing what they were doing, other than to give him something to pull over, but it was exciting to watch.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be something to do with the movie, and he was going to, like, interrogate people.
Yeah.
The one guy was just, like, pissed, and then Jackie Chan takes off his sunglasses, and you get that heavy metal stinger, just like, yeah. And then the guy's like, oh, I'm out of here. I know you.
The beginning also makes me feel like the ending is not abrupt, because I know there's a Police Story 3. I don't think people like it as much, but since we know it's just a continuation, the beginning is really just like, okay, this guy's on traffic duty now, which they get right to it, which I appreciate. I feel like a lot of movies, they would spend more time getting him there. But so, yeah, I'm like, he's probably going to be in a little bit of trouble for blowing up this entire fireworks factory, I guess is what it is.
Something like that. I mean, there's gunpowder and those garlic bombs, and then there's actual fireworks there.
Yeah. Are the garlic bombs the things that they throw at him? And it's just,
when it starts, when he's first getting him thrown at him, he's chained up, and they're like hitting him with it, and it's like leaving welts and stuff on his face for the rest of the movie. But then when they throw him again, they catch fire. He keeps catching on fire. And then my favorite character from the entire movie, the deaf mute, he's on fire.
I did mean to look up what the 2021 what the correct way to refer to somebody with that condition is. I didn't look. I've proved myself to be unprepared. But yes, they refer to him as the deaf mute guy. He's honestly, to me, the most impressive martial artist in the, like, he winds up being the big boss.
Yeah.
And like, I think they have the best fight in the whole movie at the end.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's so good.
And then he does a little bit of, it is once the tides turn enough for Jackie, and he's doing an impression of the man with his condition, which I assume is already an actor doing an impression of of someone living with something. I was like, oh yeah, this is the part of the movie that didn't totally hold up, but the fight is amazing, and I love that character a lot. And the random remote control cars that sometimes have bombs on them and sometimes don't. I wanted more of that, to be honest. I wanted a little bit more of the RC cars.
Yeah, I thought that they were going to come into play with some kind of like chase scene or something, but it really was like they had RC cars in like a 10-foot room, just driving around, like blowing up a couch, or that's it, I guess. Like no one died from it. All done. Yeah,
probably. The thing about the movie that doesn't hold up is obviously the portrayal of that character, but that the only thing I really wanted more from the movie was like, I want one of those RC cars to go like 15 miles and for, Jackie to be chasing it on foot, but it was still a great movie.
Yeah. There was a lot of like really funny parts in it too that I just like completely appreciate. Like John Coe, the guy with the glasses, constantly getting his glasses broken. Like he comes out to be, you think he's the villain the whole time. And I get he's from the first movie, but he's just like, he gets punched in the face by May and his glasses break. Then he's fighting with Jackie and his glasses break again. And then every time we see him, his glasses are breaking, and they're slowly being like, he lost in the first movie. He's not a threat anymore. And then you find out that he had nothing to do with anything that was going on, towards the end of the movie. And the guy, Cho, the guy who was dying,
the big bad, or the big bad from number 1.
And he's actually dying too. And so he's got like nothing to do with it. So it's like a cool like funny way of like, this guy's a bad person, to just like, oh, he's slowly turning into comic relief. He's not a problem anymore. I thought that was great. And the amount of times where Jackie would suggest something and then Uncle Bill would like say the same thing but a little louder, and then Superintendent Lee would then say what he says, and then finally, like, when it gets to him, the people are just like, those are just broken words, or empty words, empty promises, like, shut up. I thought that was great. But also the deaf guy was just great too. Jackie just making fun of him while burning him alive.
No, it was I feel like he was the only one who because I thought the other two guys got away, and I thought he was the only one who was still in the place when it blew up. But maybe
they fought when he was fighting the other two guys. He kicked one guy out of a window. He fell on the awning of stairs and then rolled down to the bottom and then fell onto the stairs. So he was still at one of the top levels. And then the other guy he kicked out the window, fell down all the tube lights for this sign, neon lights on the sign, and then fell like 20 feet to the ground and hit. So I assume that they were both there and both in the radius of that blast. So
that's
I bet Jackie Chan was just
Rush Hour
like
3 moment.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he was probably just like, I'm gonna kill the deaf guy anyway, so I can make fun of him, and I'm gonna just kill everybody. It's like I gave him a choice, but he does. Are we saying that Jackie Chan becomes the villain at the end of Police Story 2?
It feels like his character is not totally confident, whereas like later on, like in the Rush Hour movies, Detective Lee is just like, he is the law and he is justice, and he knows what is right and what is wrong. And this character, Detective Chan, I guess, is much more like when they take his girl, like he gets up, like he's not always totally in control of his own actions. And so I feel like this stuff, I mean, it is really not great what he does, even though that man has, at that point, I guess, what are they responsible for? We don't know if anyone died in the police station explosion. We know that the one woman lost her arm or her leg. The receptionist,
she lost her arm.
She lost her arm, and so like they did something pretty bad. But it's still like, you don't need to be doing the you don't need to be making fun of the thing that is not the evil part of him, the part of him
the thing that he can't fix about himself. That's like,
exactly.
Make fun of him for being a jerk asshole, not something. That's the thing too, is so many people, when you're pissed at someone, you want to attack something personal about them, but it's like, that's a handicap that millions of people have. So it's like, you're making fun of millions of people by making fun of this one guy just because he hit you with garlic bombs.
Yeah, which I feel like it's interesting. Even though Jackie Chan has played so many different characters in so many different movies, you're really seeing like the Jackie Chan archetype mature over the years. And this is still, I don't know exactly how old he was in the late 80s, but what, maybe in his 30s, could have been in his 20s. Probably not. No, when did he start?
He was born 54. This movie was 88.
So he was 30, 34, 33.
34-ish, 33, 34.
Yeah. He has matured over the years, and it's a joy to watch. I love the bloopers at the end.
Yeah, I always loved the bloopers. I felt like these were lacking. These were more of, look at these legit injuries that happened, of just constantly people like touching the back of their heads and like their hands all bled, or like the May, when she got hit like right here by one of those metal things, and like blood's just all over her shirt. Oof.
Yeah, she was a trooper.
She was.
They didn't. I'm glad they showed that, actually, because when they showed that, I was like, oh shit, like she was doing a lot of stunts that you don't necessarily think about, because it's just like, I feel like in most Jackie Chan movies, Jackie is the one who is doing the most outlandish stunts, but that sort
Yeah.
of flattens everything else. And so like the person who's doing the 10th most dangerous stunts is probably still doing very dangerous stunts, but you just don't
Yeah.
necessarily think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she was awesome.
Yeah. There was so many fights. I think my favorite fight from the movie was the playground, because it was so quick, but you were also seeing these stunt actors take huge bumps on the ground. And like, they don't seem very padded. I've watched a lot of stuntmen react, Corridor Digital's YouTube channel. And now I kind of look out for that stuff of like, oh, their shirt was padded, or oh, they landed on a softer surface, or, you know, that's actually foam, whatever. But like watching this, I kept rewinding and looking at like some of these like hits people are taking, and you see the slap the mat thing, so you know you shock or you absorb the impact. But it was just like people are going through like monkey bars and stuff, and like flying through it and stuff. And I don't know how they did that, but that was just like insane.
Yeah,
I mean
same.
and I'm 2 years younger than Jackie Chan was at this moment too. So
because in so many of those, like every time when you're doing a fight on a playground, anytime somebody decks you, you're falling basically with like a bar to your back. Like everyone's just like falling with a bar to the back, and it's just like how is your back not just like breaking in this? But it was, and all, I mean, the slot in that scene, don't they? He's trying to get away, and then the two guys come down the slide and stop him. I'm pretty sure at the beginning of the fight scene, two guys like basically like essentially block him from going anywhere by both going down the slide, which is so funny because it's like they're both sitting at the slide. Okay, he's coming. Okay, now, and then they just like go down the slide and
I'm
then
not
jump
ready.
up. Yeah,
and then 25 men show up, and it's just Jackie versus 25 men.
Yeah,
and the way he just jumps over stuff like barricades and it's insane. Absolutely.
well, I mean,
insane.
one of my favorite stunts from the movie is when he just crosses the street. He's crossing that 2-lane highway, and it's just like, put your hands on something for stability. Like you don't need to be jumping off like this.
Yeah,
it's like human Frogger.
And I was thinking, it's so funny in my head. I'm just like, how many times has this guy gotten hit by a car, and then bam, he gets hit by a bus? It's like,
yeah,
okay, it happens. It definitely happens.
And I thought about, I don't know, I know about those the stuntman react videos. I haven't watched any of them, but do they talk, like, did that give you any insight for when you watched that? Because I was like, it looked like he got hit by that bus. Like that wasn't, it was and wasn't a stunt, because it looked like he definitely got struck a little bit.
I mean, watching that show, it gives me a ton of insight of like, oh, well, I guess they could have done it this way. Not necessarily, like, I don't know the right way to do it, but you would assume that the car is probably going a lot slower, and that's why you only see like the edge of the bus. So it's probably like just a quick stop rather than it going, 20 miles an hour. But I do look out for, like, they talk about a lot of the stuff of like, okay, this is when they're bracing their back. This is when they're like going stiff. This is when they would do like a faulty chair or whatever. So it's like that stuff you're looking out for. But a lot of Jackie Chan's stuff is he wants to get hit, and he wants to actually hit people so that you can see that it actually happened. And I don't know how he can do that. It blows my mind.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. I want to talk about the music at some point.
Okay.
There were moments where it was like, this is clearly a reference, like a musical reference to the James Bond theme. And then there were also moments where it was like, this is a reference to like an 80s family sitcom theme. Like there was, and I love that you get both in the same movie.
Yeah, it was very 80s. Like that's what I thought of like the whole time. It was just a lot of synth, but then this is also 88, so I feel like, well, I guess they probably would have shot it 86, so yeah, I guess it makes sense for it to be as 80s as it was, because I feel like there was a pretty quick transition between late 80s, early 90s of like music and style and that. But yeah, movies take a while. I'm dumb. But yeah, I love the music. And every time a villain shows up, you get that one bang. And then Jackie Chan would show up. Like he had the mustache and the glasses from the bar, and he showed up at
the mustache.
He showed up at was it Faye's like cool ass hideout where you have to take a forklift with your vehicle up to stuff. And then
you just go into the bar.
Yeah.
And taking girls and saying, yeah, I live in the shipping container yard. We've got to get on this forklift. It's the best.
Yeah. It's absolute best. And then that fight scene's great too, because he's beating the hell out of this guy. And every time he's done hitting the guy, he turns, he slaps the woman, and then he's fighting the guy again. And then the girl goes to attack him. He picks her up and throws her onto the bed, which is fine. But yeah.
It's like juggling.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how he does it. It's just, it blows my mind. And I'm glad that we do Jackie Chan sequels every time on this show, because I can't wait to watch more. I have one last thing, which I think is the wildest line from this movie. And then if you have anything else, let me know, but we'll go to a break after that. But the guy is coming after Jackie, the guy with the glasses. And he pulls out a gun, aims it at Jackie, shoots, and we see that it's like ink or like a squirt gun. But Jackie ducks, and it shoots May all over the face, and then Jackie leaves and chases her. When he comes back, he's talking to May, and to quote May, she says, "What if it had been acid in the gun?" May, what if it had been a bullet in the gun? Why is it like, oh, what if that gun shot acid? What if that gun shot bullets? Like, that's what you should be like pissed off about.
Well, I think the thing is they were in a culture that just like didn't have bullets and guns readily available. And so acid attacks might have been much more common than being shot in the face.
All right. Well, I guess that makes sense.
But it's it is a good point. He does duck, and I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like why you're trying to protect her, and then he shoots and he ducks. I don't understand exactly why he does that.
Yeah. I guess it probably is just like his police training of just like duck, but also he's very neglectful for his girlfriend, even though they've been together for years, and they talk about how they've been together for years. Because the aunt was like, I don't know how you can date him for all this time. Stays with him, even though she could have gotten a bullet to the face. But
I like the aunt a lot.
Yeah, she's the most grounded character, I think.
Yeah, she's always just like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
And everyone else is taking it in stride.
Yeah, you always have to have the straight guy. You always have to have the straight guy in the movie. Just hey, listen here, man. Here's what you got to do. Any final comments, notes, anything with Police Story 2?
I think we have to talk about the Special Surveillance Unit a little bit.
You're right.
We cannot not mention the Special Surveillance Unit. When they say we got a Special Surveillance Unit, and then they walk over to this room, and it's just the coolest group of motherfuckers you've ever seen. It looks like a variety actors roundtable shoot. Like they're all just like perfectly posed. They're dressed in like the coolest fashion of the day. And they're like, don't worry, these people are gonna handle it. And I thought he was gonna be like, this is absurd. Like these people don't know what they're doing at all. And then they wind up being pretty integral to the rest of the movie. Like they were a lot of fun. You have the whole the questioning with the three girls and the guy who gets and that's probably like one of the top 3 fight scenes in the movie, in my opinion.
They kick him onto the table and then kick his knees, and he goes face first into the ground.
That also had some good bloopers at the end.
Oh yeah, she slipped.
One of the women kicks.
I forgot to make any notes about that, because I was just like, they said something and the first person was like, hey, we're the special task force, whatever, and then turns, and then the camera goes to the next person, and we're here to help you, and then she turns and it goes to the next person, and we're gonna find everyone that you're looking for, and then it zooms out and they're all just like, like it's a lawyer commercial, just yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's like one of those lawyer bus ads where you see all like 80 partners in the 1-800 law firm. Yeah, I want, like, everyone's all about IP. I want the Police Story 2 Special Surveillance Unit Task Force procedural show. Like why are we not making that immediately? It's IP. It's sitting on the table. Look, maybe they do it in Police Story Part 3. I haven't seen it yet.
Maybe.
Haven't seen Part 1. But they were a lot of fun. I wondered whether it made me wonder, although I forgot to Google, when 21 Jump Street came out, because I felt like it might have been a like cultural reply to 21 Jump Street, because it was just like, none of us look like cops. We all look like cool young people, but we are actually the coolest cops around.
21 Jump Street was 1987, so it's possible there was some kind of overlap, like maybe, depending on how quick they shot Police Story 2. Yeah. But yeah, and then the movie even turned into like a heist movie almost, with the surveillance people, of how well they were like, okay, 3 of us are going into the train, one's going to come out, and then you kind of follow him, then you switch with someone who's outside, just to make sure that there was no thought that the villains were being tailed. And at the end, they were just like, did anybody follow you? No, me neither. And then it's like, and then the people are right behind them, behind a van, and they're like, now there's 3. And it's just like, they did a great job, but it was just the amount of switching and everything was super cool. But yeah.
I also liked when the man and the woman of the surveillance unit were in the car tailing them, and they were like, oh, they're going to see us. And one says to the other, it's your lucky day. And the other says, yours too. And then they start making out. I was like, I want to know more about this story. Like this is there's all this sexual dramatic, I stand the special surveillance unit of Police Story 2 so hard. And I want to know more about all of those characters.
Yeah, I want to ship them, since we're using TikTok terms.
We're standing, we're shipping, we're doing it all.
I hate that I didn't have notes about them, but yeah,
that's what I'm here for.
They were awesome.
I forget the Bloody Mary, but I make sure to pick up anything that you forgot notes about.
You were too busy surveilling, and that's okay. You did your part, so I'll let it pass this season. But next season, you better believe you're going to have Bloody Mary.
I swear to God, after this break, I'm going to show up with something that you agree is a Bloody Mary. And I have in 30 seconds. And you're going to say, you're right, that is a Bloody Mary. You should have had it at the beginning, but it's there.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break. And when we return, Julian is going to have a Bloody Mary. We're going to see where we can find him on social media. And he's got a drinking story he's got to share with us. So stay tuned. Okay, we are back, and hopefully Julian's got some good news for us with his...
I believe I do. I think that you will count this. I think if I had shown up at the beginning with this, you would say, yes, that is a Bloody Mary. Okay, so it is redder. And look, it's got some chunks in it. For those of you watching the YouTube, like this is... do you see that? That's a cornichon there at the bottom. The little green blob?
Yeah, I see.
So I think I flew a little too close to the sun with this. I had what to me would have counted as a Bloody Mary, and then I just wanted to razzle, dazzle, and zazzle, and so I added a couple of ingredients that now that I'm tasting it, I absolutely should not have added. But what I started with was a base of tomato sauce, which That's tomato.
Yeah.
That's going to count for a Bloody Mary.
Yep.
Then I put in soju. I looked it up. You can use, just like you can put gin in a Bloody Mary, you can also put soju in a Bloody Mary. And so I think with those two things, it pretty much counts as a Bloody Mary at that point.
Yeah, we're about 40 minutes into the episode, and you
finally figured it out.
The drink that you
I did pick it.
That you picked.
It hasn't ever felt like I've had an option to change, but I'm always happy to. I'm glad that I'm. It feels like Julian from 5 to 6 years ago is forcing Julian now to have a Bloody Mary, and why not? You know, that feels like a good. I appreciate it's a time capsule of love from my past self to my current self. What else did I put in here? I put two little cornichons or gherkins, depending on what you like to call them, and then a splash of Dogfish Head 90-minute Imperial IPA. Many Bloody Marys will have a little bit of beer in them. It's one of my favorite IPAs. And then where I really went wrong was my wonderful partner Kristen said, we have some green olive spread if you want to put that in. Because she already was like, no, are you putting soju in the marinara sauce? And I said, yes, I have to do a Bloody Mary. I have to fulfill the prophecy.
So wait, tomato sauce or marinara sauce?
I think it's tomato sauce. I'm pretty sure it's a garlic tomato sauce. Yeah, it's a tomato sauce. It's not... marinara sauce doesn't come in a jar like that, does it?
It does.
It's tomato sauce. Oh gosh.
You know what? I accept. You're punishing yourself. And on paper, if you said inside my cup there is garlic something, pickle something, a liquor, and something with tomato in it, then yes.
The green olives make it taste.
Finally did it.
Make it have the same texture as puke, though. That was a bad idea. It was a green olive spread. I'm trying to see let's see if I can actually let you see into the top of this puppy. Are you seeing that?
Oh yeah, that's
the spread is not what I should have.
And this is the perfect time to let everyone who's just listening to the podcast version of this episode. You should be watching the show at watch.hadwm.com because it's the full interview with video, and you can see Julian's concoction.
Yeah, what are you doing?
But I will say, Julian, that I take back everything bad I said earlier about you having the wrong drink. I'll take back everything that I said to my wife about you on our break, because you did it right, I guess, this time, and also punished yourself in the process. So we can still do Kung Fu Panda 2 next year with Bloody Marys.
I'm excited.
I think he's in that, right?
Yes. Well, he was in Kung Fu Panda 1.
You and I came up with a list of like 10 movies that had Jackie Chan sequels, or there were sequels to Jackie Chan.
There's so many.
So where can we find you on social media? And also, are you still doing your blog or your blog?
The Sternal Journal.
Okay. Let's hear it all.
Sternaljournal.substack.com. That is where you can find out about shows that I'm on coming up. That is where you can read. Every week, I post an essay or an interview. I do an interview every month now. And I think it's a fun read. You'll get it sometime Sunday night or Monday morning. And a lot of people enjoy it. I also say you can subscribe. And if after a couple weeks you're like, I don't like this, please unsubscribe. I welcome anyone to see if they're into it. And if they're not into it, then just leave. You know, there's so much on our media plates. Don't worry about feeding my ego. It's good enough as it is. So you could check me out there, the Sternal Journal, as well as Julian M. Stern on Instagram. Those are the main places. And then, you know, I'm performing all around town if you're in LA. So check it out.
Yeah. Absolutely. Follow this guy. Follow him everywhere. Follow him and make sure he's got the ingredients to a Bloody Mary. So we're at the favorite. I'm like watching you try to power through it. I'm trying to power through my Bloody Mary, and I like Bloody Marys. I'm just like, oh, there's so much of it. And you have to chew and swallow your drink, which looks painful. But hey, That's showbiz,
I appreciate
baby.
you
Right?
you really your reaction. I was like, oh man, I really fucked up by not having a like. I could tell that you felt let down, and I said I need to make this not just right, but better than if I had shown up with a Bloody Mary in the beginning. Which, not to toot my own horn, but I think I have. I think this is now a better situation than if I had just had a normal Bloody Mary at the beginning, because now you get to see me.
Yeah, and maybe I'll make struggle. Maybe I'll make one of those for the next episode you do with
not.
me. But we're at my absolute favorite part of the episode, where you get to share a drinking story with us. So, just so everyone knows, again, Julian joined us for season 1. We talked about Rush Hour 2, had Bloody Marys. He joined me for season 2. We had Bloody Marys again, and we talked about Shanghai Nights. You shared a story of time you got a tattoo, and we're at Pawn Stars, and then we've also heard a story last season, which is going to be hard to top because you peed in an elevator and then peed in a paddy wagon. So let's hear it.
I mean, the peeing in the elevator and the paddy wagon in the same night is definitely the worst thing I've done. Well, I think it's the worst thing. It's the most cinematic thing I've done while drinking. There's multiple locations. There's a lot of piss going all over the place. Cinema. And this, what I just popped into my head is senior year of college. I had just gone through a breakup. I forget how long it had been, but it was fresh. It was like I had been with somebody for a while. It was like an on again, off again college girlfriend situation, and it was like this was like broken up for good. And so a couple weeks into that, I was at a party, and I met a girl who I can't even remember the conversation we had at the bar, but it was like we were sort of vibing at the bar, or it felt like it. And like I said, I don't remember the conversation, but I remember that we didn't exchange numbers, which is probably my fault. But rather than ask for her number, I called my friend in the taxi home. This was, I guess, in 2009. So this was pre-Uber. So I was in a taxi, and I knew that she was in the same sorority, this girl. And I called my friend, and I said, hey, do you know so-and-so's number? I just had a really nice conversation with her at Famous, which was the bar if you were an upperclassman at Emory University in 2009. And she said, and my friend said, oh yeah. And she, for better or for worse, gave me the number of this girl. And so I texted her and I said, hey, I had a really nice time talking to you tonight. And was basically doing what anyone in my situation might do if they were in a breakup and had met someone that they were attracted to. And I was trying to meet up again well after everyone had gone home. And I also, I think I lived on fraternity row. She lived on sorority row. And I was like, okay, maybe we can hang out. Like there will be an after party. I was trying to, and so in my mind, it felt like there was some flirting going on, but she was tired and did not want to come out. And I've talked to her since then. And so in retrospect, it was like, she was like, I'm not sure about this. I'm going to go to sleep. And I'll make a decision about whether I want to hang out with this person again tomorrow, which is, if anyone is watching or listening at home, the right thing to do most of the time. And I think I'd asked if she wanted to get food, and she said she didn't want to get food, but she had said she was hungry. So she was clearly waffling on whether to hang out. And so I'm at my place of residence, which was a fraternity house. And I got this idea, and I said, I really like talking to this girl. I need to make it clear that I enjoyed our conversation and that I wasn't just trying to like get food with her so that I could like try to get her to come back to my place, but that I really genuinely just wanted her to have food was my drunk mentality at the moment. And so I went around and I said, and I just found anyone in my frat house who had food they were all my friends, but I was like, oh, you got half a pizza, I'm taking it.
Yeah.
And one of my friends had gotten like a few McChickens from McDonald's. I was like, I need 2 of those. And he was like, no. And I was like, give them to me. And I took them. And I just so it was like half a pizza, a couple McChickens, and like maybe an apple pie or something. And I just went across the street and I left it outside of her sorority house. And I texted her,
Go outside.
I said, if you'd like, no pressure, but you can go outside. I left you a feast of sorts. And the feast of sorts is sort of the phrasing that like lived on. Like when I talked to her about it afterwards, and when I talked to my friends about it afterwards, that was always the like, just like, why, like, who are you? Why would you say a feast of sorts? Like, are you, are you from medieval times? And yeah,
Milady,
exactly.
there is a feast of sorts.
That is precisely what I was doing. That is exactly as obnoxious as I was being in the moment. And I just did that. And I said, look, good, done. I made it clear that I really wanted to just make sure this person had a meal if they were hungry, and I didn't care about anything else. And somebody had like been out in the morning the next day, and they were like, the pizza box was gone. Somebody came and grabbed the pizza box. And then it wasn't until a couple months later that I saw her again, because we weren't like in the same circle. So like I think like close to graduation, I saw her at Moe's, which is like an Atlanta version of, or like a Southeast version of Chipotle. They might have it in the Southwest also. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Moe's, Qdoba.
Yeah. And she was behind me in line just randomly. And she said something like, are you going to be like, that looks like a nice meal. Is it going to be a feast of sorts? And I was just like, you remember? And it was a nice moment, because obviously in college, everyone's making a fool of themselves. The worst case, like it's fine to make a fool of yourself. It's much worse if you're like, oh, I did something that made somebody uncomfortable. And I felt like I was like, this was because then we never talked again. So I always felt a little bit awkward about it. So it was nice when she referenced it and we both got to laugh about it. But it was one of the, I think, weirdest things I've done while drunk. And like I said, I've peed in an elevator and a police vehicle in the same night. So that's saying a lot.
Well, I think in the 3 seasons you've done this show, you've let us know that you're adventurous. You are a little reckless at times, but ultimately, you're a sweetheart.
I'm a romantic.
And that's what we've been waiting for. That's why I keep bringing you back. I'm trying to get your sweet side. And then hopefully next time you can prove that you're funny.
I don't know about that.
I was fucking with you. That was just a knock at you not having Bloody Mary. But you're super funny. Everyone knows it from this episode, the other 2 episodes. I want to thank you so much for doing this episode. And I'll obviously see you again next season. Hopefully we... I got an invite for you for our housewarming party. But not...
What's the date and the address? Let everyone at home know.
It's the... I want to thank all of our listeners and viewers. You can follow our show on social media at HADWM. If you listen to this podcast only, you should be watching it at watch.hadwm.com. Also, we've got a lot of really cool stuff on our store. Go to shop.hadwm.com. And thank you.
I gotta snack some of that. Hey, before you go, what kind of stuff do we got on the store? Because I need to get some.
I don't know. We've got some t-shirts. We've got some mugs. We've got some face masks. We got a little bit of everything. And it's all fun. And I designed all of it. So
I'm going to check them out. Meet me there, everybody.
It's a feast of sorts, you would say.
It's a feast of sorts of merch.
Well, I would cheers you, but I finished my drink. Julian, thank you so much for doing this.